The proposed environmental management plan we'll be discussing is the reintroduction of the gray wolf to the Northeast, presented by Cristiana Scaglione for the environmental management class at the American Public University. This environmental management plan focuses on species reintroduction of the gray wolf to the northeast part of the United States, including states such as Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. The Northeast is a conglomerate of zones including woodlands, farmlands, grasslands, and suburban and urban areas. Because of this diversity in zones, we see a diversity in our soil. The majority of the soils are podsoils that have a variety of draining types. The closer that you get to the coast, the better the drainage is because you have more sand available. The further that you get from the coast, the less drainage there is. It tends to hold more water. Not only do we see a diversity in the zones and the soils, but we also see a diversity in wildlife, including ungulate species such as deer and moose, and bear, coyote, fox, a plethora of rodent species, plethora of bird species as well, and freshwater fish. The gray wolf was a resident of this area up until the 1850s, when they were driven out primarily by overhunting. Since their elimination in the Northeast, ungulate species have risen past healthy levels, and this has led a trickle-down effect in the ecosystem, primarily including overgrazing of grassland and woodlands, which has allowed invasive species to move in and has driven native species out, both of the vegetation and wildlife varieties. The possible outcomes for this environmental plan are the same as the known outcomes for the reintroduction of this species into Yellowstone National Park and the Great Lakes region of the United States. They experienced healthier ecosystems overall because ungulate species were not out of control anymore. It allowed for native vegetation species to come back to this area that had once been overgrazed by these ungulates. It also allowed for native wildlife species to come back now that their niche was restored. However, there are negatives in any situation. A study done in Colorado surveyed locals' interest in bringing back the Mexican wolf, which is a similar species to the gray wolf. And while the majority of the locals were interested in this reintroduction, the parties that were not were mainly ranchers and hunters. Ranchers were concerned that their flocks or herd would be dwindled or destroyed by this new predator in the area. Hunters were concerned that these wolves would either pose as competition or that the game would be driven away. These same concerns are prevalent everywhere, not just Colorado. So most likely, the ranchers and hunters in the Northeast would have similar feelings towards the reintroduction of the gray wolf.